Hey boys and girls, Rachel here. Today I have something really special for you guys. I have seen that some of you guys are having birthdays. What? Oh my goodness, yes, it's a very exciting time. 1 whole year older, it's your very own special day that's just for you. I mean, maybe you have to share it if you have a twin, but not very many of you guys have twins. So, what do you do on your birthday? You have a party, you get together with your friends and your family, you have presents, you have cake, cupcakes. I hope cupcakes are my favorite. But things are a little different right now, and I know a lot of you guys are sad that you're not being able to celebrate with your friends. So we are going to have our very own little birthday party here today, complete with cupcake. What? Oh my goodness. This looks so good you could eat it, right? So I made a strawberry cupcake because that's my favorite flavor, but you guys can have any kind of cupcake you want to. I'm going to show you how to create your very own cupcake painting on, as we know, cardboard, canvas, paper, doesn't matter. If you don't have the painting supplies, it is completely okay to draw this in colored pencil. You could draw it with a crayon. The only thing you want to do is, I'm doing back to front on this where I'm covering the whole surface. If you're drawing it with a pencil or a crayon, maybe wait to fill in the background until after we've drawn the shape of the cupcake, okay? But since you're feeling a little bit lonely, I do want to remind you guys that you have a lot of friends out there who love you, and all of your family loves you too. You're just a phone call away, okay? I can be your friend. And I know, like, sometimes your mom and dad have put on their mom and dad face, but they're kind of also your best friends. Like, they love you more than anybody. They're awesome. So we are going to ignore the fact that our plans might have changed, and we are going to have a rockin' birthday party, okay? So before we get started, happy birthday! Happy birthday! Oh my goodness, happy birthday! You're amazing! You're a whole year older. Oh my goodness, how did you do that? Look how tall you are. You are enormous. Good job. Holy moly, what a year you've had. Whew. Okay. You feeling it? I hope you're feeling it. So we're just going to start off with our supply list. So you need, of course, your cardboard, your canvas, your paper, whatever surface you're on. Don't use something really, really thin or it's going to get that wavy buckle that we've talked about. You're going to need your paper plate, okay? Some kind of, or whatever plate you have. You're going to need some brushes. For this one, we're going to use that classic small, medium, large combo that we have. So large, medium, some kind of small detailish brush. I like the pointy ones for the details. You're going to want your water container to keep those brushes in when they're not being used. You're going to want some paints. I like to do a variety of paints, or even for this one, since it's a birthday party, those classic primary colors will work. You want to definitely have some white with you. And then you can do like red, yellow, blue, and you can mix all the rest of the colors that you want from there, or pick your favorite colors, okay? There's nothing happier on your birthday than your favorite things, so why not pick your favorite colors, right? And of course, our trusty paper towels. We don't like to create without them. If you want to be a little more eco-friendly and mom or dad has some rags lying around that you can definitely use a rag instead of a paper towel. It's way more eco-friendly and you're not blowing through the paper towel stash, right guys? Whew. All right, so happy birthday. Let's get going. Okay, you guys ready to get started? So we're going to start with the background. We're going to do back to front in this painting, which means that we're not going to draw anything out before we paint. We're just going to cover over everything that we've done. So I'm starting off with a little bit of white, or a lot bit of white, as I say. Not too much, but we're going to do enough to cover the whole surface. And like I said, I'm using my cardboard here. You could use a canvas, you could use a piece of paper. Doesn't really matter. And I'm going to make a light blue for my background. You want to do a light color for your background because you want it to show up, but you also want to be able to paint your cupcake over it without causing problems. If you do too dark of a background, then your colors are going to get muddy. So pick like a yellow. Ooh, you know what? I'm switching to a yellow. I think I want to do a yellow. So pick a light color, nothing too dark. Something that's going to go well with the other colors, okay? So you don't want to mix something that's going to mix up brown. But a pale yellow would be good, and light blue would be good, a pale pink. Don't go dark blue, don't go dark purple. Keep it light and sunshiny, okay? And then you're going to take a good size brush, something kind of like this, and you're going to dunk it in your water to get it damp but not drippy. And you're going to add your color to your white and stir them together like this. You can either stir this way or you can do an X folding motion, which I kind of like. So I'm going to do this X folding motion. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit more. Add a little bit of color at a time until you get the color you're looking for. So this is the color I want. I like that. That's a nice kind of sunshiny, buttery yellow. There we go. Okay, so once you have your nice buttery yellow, or whatever color you chose for your background, your pale color, we're going to cover the whole surface. And remember, I used this recycled piece of cardboard, so it already has something on it, but look how great that covered. This is a very forgiving medium, okay? Medium is just a fancy word for materials, but acrylic covers up so well that whatever you have underneath is almost always going to get covered up and look just the way you want it. And there might be a little faint hint of it showing through, but that's not a big deal. We're going to add more layers to this, and who cares? It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going for cute, right? Something celebratory. So fill in. I'm doing up and down strokes on my background. You could do any kind of strokes. You could go diagonal. You could do swirls, whatever you like. I like up and down because it's nice and smooth, but you could do something different. Because I don't have to look at your painting, you and your parents do. It's going home with you, not going home with me. So keep it something that you like, not necessarily what I like. And you can see mine, since I've got all this paint on it, it's starting to buckle a little bit, starting to curve up in the middle. You see that arch? That's all right. Doesn't matter. It'll flatten out if you decide to put it in a picture frame, or probably as it dries, it'll flatten. If not, you can always lay some books on top of it. Hopefully you guys have lots of books at home. Reading is very good. I love to read. So I always have a ton of books if I need to flatten something out. All right. Ta-da! That didn't take long at all, did it, guys? So now that we have this on here, whoops, our lovely outline, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that background color that we had and we're gonna add a little bit of another color that goes well together. So how you know if a color goes well together is if they're next to each other on the rainbow. You guys remember the rainbow we did earlier? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So blue is next to yellow, sort of. Green's next to yellow, isn't it? So we're gonna do a green. So how do you make green? You add blue to yellow, but you're gonna add just a little bit, okay? If you add too much, what's gonna happen is it's only gonna look blue. It's not gonna look very green at all. And I think since I had such a little bit of yellow left, I'm gonna add more in there. So if you did a blue background, you could add yellow to it. You could also add some red or some pink to it to make purple. If you did a pink background, you could add blue or you could add yellow, and that would either make purple or kind of a peachy color. There's all different kinds of choices. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to mine because I want it to be a brighter green. Ooh, my paint's almost out. Just a little bit there. There we go. Add that in, stir that up. Looking better, looking better. A little bit more blue. I want a darker color there. Cool. All right, I kind of like that. It's kind of like a soft kind of beachy green. So now we're going to paint the edges. Ooh, yes. So see how I'm using just the width of my brush to line the edges like that? If it's a little wiggly, that's all right. This is a hand-painted border. We're not going for perfection here. We're going for creative and artistic. If it gets a little dry, you can dunk your brush in a little bit of water, like I did there, and add some more paint to it. It's gonna mix a little bit. This is why you wanted a color that goes well together. Because if we picked a color, like I have yellow here, if I picked purple to go with my yellow, what would happen is I would get this really weird looking brown color. And sometimes we want brown, and sometimes we don't. This is one of those days where right now I'm like, I do not want brown on my birthday cupcake. That would be a little weird looking, wouldn't it? Okay, all good. So now we can rinse our brushes out. Okay, rinse your brush out. Scrape all that color out of there very well. okay? Or you can even leave it in there if you want to, but rinse it out really well as best you can. Okay, because if you don't rinse it out now, you're gonna have to rinse it out later, so you might as well. And then pat it dry on the paper towel, and then just leave it sit on your paper towel there. And then we're going to grab a brush that is a little bit smaller. It's not the same size. Dunk that in the water to get it damp but not drippy, okay? And set that off to the side here and pick out another color. We are going to start with the cake part of our cupcake. So, what flavor of cake do you like? Do you like vanilla? You'd want kind of a cream color. I don't think I'm gonna have vanilla because my background is already vanilla colored. If you want strawberry, you want a pink color. If you want chocolate, you want brown. I think I want a strawberry cupcake. I really like strawberry cupcakes. So I'm gonna take a little bit of red. Not very much because red is really, really strong. So I'm gonna take just a little bit of red. Just a little bit there. There it goes. It's a little bit dry there, that red, but that's okay. I can always wet it back up with some water. So I'm gonna take a little bit of red, and I'm gonna take a little bit of white as well, because we don't need a lot of our cupcake color. So I'm gonna do that. So that's my little bit of red, little bit of white. Dunk your brush in the water again if you forgot to. You're gonna add some of that red to your white. Use your stirring motion here. Some reds are going to be stronger than others. This one is coming out pretty well. I'm stirring just a little bit at a time until I get the color that I want. I think that's kind of a nice strawberry color. And you want to go about in the middle of your picture. So see how that's my middle? And I'm going to make an oval. Don't make it too big, but we're going to make an oval here. You want to go, leave maybe an inch on each side. So just an oval like that, and then fill your oval in. Oops, I had a lump of red there, didn't I? That's okay. No harm done. Fill your oval in. It doesn't look like a cupcake now, guys, does it? Not remotely. Ah! That's okay, we're barely getting started. Rinse that brush out again. Oh, rinse it out good, rinse it out good. All right, now pat it dry on your paper towel, and we're gonna go into another color for our cupcake liner. So I'm gonna take, once again, a little bit of white and a little bit of another color. I'm gonna use blue this time. I'm gonna have a pale blue cupcake liner. Now you could go brighter if you wanted to. You can also change the colors up a little bit. I want a little bit darker than that because I don't want it to be exactly the same shade. So I want something like that. You could do pink, you could do purple. You just want it to be different from your background, but something that's not gonna clash horribly if it goes next to each other. So again, think about colors that are close to each other on the rainbow. That's what you want. So now we're gonna come a little bit in, because you know the best cupcakes are when they kind of poof out of the wrapper a little bit, right? So I'm gonna come in a little bit here and in a little bit here. And then I'm gonna come like this. I'm gonna make an angle, almost like I was gonna make a V, but I don't wanna be able to close it, and I don't want them to be too close together. I wanna stop again about an inch, maybe 3/4 inch, just a little bit from the bottom of my border here, and I want it to angle downwards like this. That's because when you have a cupcake pan, you know how the pans have the sides come out like that? Well, that's what we're gonna do. And then on the bottom, we're gonna do it not quite perfectly flat. We're gonna make a very shallow smile here. So almost perfectly flat, but a little bit of a shallow smile. And then at the top, if you have a flat brush like this, then you're gonna have an easier time with this. If you have a round brush, you're gonna be drawing zigzags, okay? If you have a flat brush, you can just stamp your zigzag like this. See how I'm just dotting? But you wanna go on top of your cake, because if you have it down here, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna have like a magical floating cupcake with no bottom, and that's kind of silly. So we're gonna make sure we go on top of our cake, okay? That way our wrapper looks like it's actually coming out of the cupcake. Once you have that, then we're gonna fill in. This time you do wanna use that directional shading that we talked about before. And you wanna fill in an up and down method, okay? Look, if you fill in side to side, it's not gonna look like an actual cupcake liner. It's gonna look kind of weird. So you wanna fill in up and down like that. up and down. Take your time. Better to be careful than to be fast. We're not in a rush here. We've got plenty of time. It is your birthday. We can celebrate all day, right? Or whatever your special occasion is that you're doing your cupcakes for. I'm doing mine for a birthday. So, fill it in carefully. Angle your brush to match those zigzags and then pull down, and then you can fill in after. That's what I like to do. Angle those brush, and then you come up from the bottom and down from the top. That way you don't accidentally get outside of your lines. Okay? If it gets dry, what do? You dunk it in the water, add a little bit more. If your background isn't dry yet and it's blending in too much, like if this is just all turning into a big green color for you, then what you want to do is you want to ask mom or dad to hair dry it for you, or if it's sunshiny where you're at, it's not sunshiny here, but if it's sunshiny where you're at, you can set it outside in the sun and let it sun dry for a little bit. I'm not going to be able to do that with mine because it is so gray today, but luckily my cardboard is soaking it up pretty well and it's pretty dry. So we're going to let this dry a little bit and we're going to move on to the frosting. Oh. Okay, so any color of frosting you guys want. So I've got a strawberry cupcake, and a strawberry cupcake is probably going to look good. I could go with a red frosting. I could go with a darker shade of blue to go with the cupcake liners. I could even go with a white fluffy frosting. I think I'm going to go with kind of a color streak swirl frosting. So I'm going to start with some white. Whatever color frosting you pick, make sure it's not the same as your background, it's not the same as your cupcake liner, and it's not the same as your cake. Otherwise, nobody's gonna be able to see it. And we don't want invisible frosting. That would be so silly. Nobody wants invisible frosting. Okay, so we can use the same brush that we used for our cupcake liners. So we're gonna rinse it out, pat it dry, make sure it's not drippy, and go into whatever color you want. I'm gonna go into my white, and I'm gonna not go, you don't wanna go too tall, guys. We wanna leave a little bit of room here. So I'm gonna start slightly above the top of the cupcake. So you want it to be about as tall as your cupcake is, the little cake that's sticking above your wrapper. Do about the same height again and put a dot at the top. Okay, that's how we know that is where our frosting ends. And on the bottom of the cupcake, we don't want to cover up that lovely wrapper that we just did, but I'm going to do a rounded oval, but just part of the oval. I'm not doing the whole thing, okay? I'm just doing part of an oval. And I'm not going all the way to the edge because I don't want to cover up my cake. Otherwise, how will I know what flavor of cupcake it is, right? So I've done my rounded oval here. Oop. So it's very round on the edges and pretty flat on the tops and bottoms because we're keeping it a little curvy, but not too curvy. And then I'm going to do another one, but I can kind of do almost like a bean shape on this one. So when I say bean shape, I mean it's round, and then it has like this little down curve, and then it comes floofing out on the sides again, and then round the bottom. And then for this top, I'm gonna keep my brush upright and swirl down and all the way around. See how it has that nice little peak at the top there? That's kind of cool, right? And you can touch it up if you need to touch the shape up a little bit, but oh my goodness, that looks so fluffy and so cute. I really like that. So now I'm going to rinse this brush out and grab a small brush for the details. Doesn't have to be teeny weeny. I'm gonna use this round one right here. It's got a nice point on it so I can get some very tiny stuff in, or it's a little bit fatter if I need something thicker. So I'm gonna get that wet, pat it dry on my paper towel, and I'm going to streak in those colors that we talked about. So I'm gonna take a little bit of blue, and I'm gonna add, the blue's kind of dark, so I'm gonna put that on the shadow side. I'm gonna kind of underline the shapes that I just did. Okay, so I'm gonna streak it in here, a little bit of blue on the underside, and a little bit just inside that center floof. And then I'm gonna rinse it again. And then I'm gonna take a little bit more yellow. And you don't have to do any of these streaks if you don't want to, but I'm gonna take a little bit of yellow, and I'm gonna streak that in. Oops, I gotta rinse my brush out some more. Oh, wait, this is why you pat your brush on your paper towel, guys, because you see I patted it and it had so much blue out. Now I'm gonna rinse it again and I patted it, now it's clean. So always pat on your paper towel, otherwise you're gonna ruin your colors. Ah! All right, now I've got my yellow, and I'm gonna streak it in the middle part of it. And you don't want it to, don't do too many, but you want it to be kind of fun looking. There we go. If you didn't want to do streaks like this, you could also do sprinkles, which would just be little lines that zigzag. But I've got that, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more of my red. You don't have to rinse your brush out for the red because you've already, yellow and red go pretty well together, but if you have too much yellow in your brush, go ahead. And I'm going to put some on the tops, okay? Just a little bit on the edges here, just to kind of make it look cool. So less is more with this. You don't want to do too much. You just want it to be enough to look like it's got some color going on here. It's a little more exciting than just a boring cupcake. This is clearly for a special occasion, right guys? All right, we've got that. And then I'm going to take some of my white and on your, rinse your brush again, pat it dry, and on the down parts in our V, we're going to do the details on our cupcake wrapper. So on the parts where where the lining on my zigzag goes down, I'm going to add a white streak. Doesn't have to be perfect, but they're going to point down. Follow the angle on the outside of your wrapper, okay? So see how my outside goes in? That's what I'm going to do. And the one in the middle, of course, is going to be straight up and down. So this is going to keep our perspective. So I'm going to go straight up and down for the ones in the middle, and the ones on the outside, they kind of angle like that. Oh, now it looks like a 3D cupcake wrapper, right? So rinse that brush again. I know we're doing lots of brush rinsing today, huh? And now we're going to need a little bit of either a dark blue or a black. I'm going to use a dark blue. If you want to use black, that's perfectly fine. But I like dark blue, and plus I've already got a lot of blue in here. So pick either a really dark color that you already have in your picture or a black, okay? And we're going to do the shadows in our cupcake wrapper. So we already did the highlights, which is the white streaks on here to make our cupcake wrapper look crinkly. Now we're gonna do the highlights. Yes, same thing, clean brush, pat it dry, good to go. You want to use your little one, and now we're going to do this on the opposite pieces. We don't need to do it here, although we could, but we're going to do it on the inside bits and streak downwards and streak downwards and streak downwards. I don't need to say that every time. I feel like you guys have it now. You guys are pretty smart. You should know. If it's a little wiggly, it's okay. It's just going to look like your cupcake wrapper is a little bit wrinkled. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, you guys are so good. And then if you want to, which I do, I'm going to add a little shadow on the bottom of my cupcake. Cute. And if you want to do the edges, I would just maybe do one. You could do both if you want to. I'll do it just so you guys can see what it looks like. If that way you can decide if you want to. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. But then I'm going to have a little banner sticking up out of my cupcake because I just think those are kind of fun. So I'm going to have a little stick that's going to come out here. If it's not perfectly straight, is anybody going to get upset with you? Absolutely not. If it's a little thicker on one side than the other, is anybody going to get upset with you? No way, Jose. All right, so we've got that. Let those dry. We'll come back to those later. While you still have your dark color that you used on your cupcake shadow, you can use that to kind of go around your border. We're gonna add some pizzazz because it's a birthday. Woo! So I'm gonna add this on the inside edge. If it's a little wibbly, who cares? It's fun. You could even do some things on the inside that are gonna be wibbly on purpose, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute here. So see how I'm moving my whole arm? I'm not just moving my wrist. If I just move my wrist like this, then it's gonna get squiggly. If I'm moving my whole arm, it's less squiggly, but it's still a little uneven, and I think that's kind of fun. So now I'm going to take that, and if I want to, I could do swirls in the corners. That's kind of cool, right? Swirls. More swirls there. Fun. I could either leave it like that, or I could add things like a wave. Like that. That's pretty fun. You could do these in other colors too. Your border is dry enough by now that you could do, if you want to use the pink in your border, or if you want to come back with some yellow, you could do that too. You could do the waves. You could even echo that cupcake shape and do a zigzag like that. We're just going to add some fun colors in here and some fun patterns just to make a frame, okay? All right. So if you want to add more to that, we can add more to that later. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rinse my brush, pat it dry, and I'm going to go back to that square brush that we used. The one that we did for our frosting. So you want that same square brush, and we're gonna go into the white this time. I want everybody to use white this time. And we're going to make a banner at the top of our cupcake. So I'm gonna come off these kind of sticks that I made here. You want them to be pretty tall. Mine are not quite as tall as I want them to be, but I'm gonna arch it a little bit like this. And if they're not as tall as I want to be, I can add some height to them later, but I'm gonna make about 1 inch thick. Or if you don't know how big an inch is, you wanna go not quite, maybe 2 knuckles. It's hard to say. Your knuckles might be shorter or bigger than mine. I don't know how big your hands are. You guys might have giant hands, or you could have teeny weeny little hands. I have no idea. But either way, we said about this much on our board. What we're gonna be writing in this. You want to leave enough room for you to write a message in here, okay? So about like that. While you've got your white, if you want to, you could do something with white in your border, just to add some extra pizzazz, which I'm going to, because extra pizzazz is always extra fun. Makes me happy, right? Adding some pizzazz. Very good. If you wanted to add other colors, you still could. Maybe I might want to do a little bit of dots down here. I can either use the corner of my brush for that, or you can even use the back side, this side right here without any bristles. You just dunk that in your paint, and then you can do dots like this. That's a good way of making dots that are all around the same size, and they're easier to control that way. I like doing them that way too. All right, so then you don't rinse the back side of your brush. The back side of your brush to clean it, you just wipe it off on your paper towel, which hopefully you remembered to get your paper towels because we've been using it a lot today. Then rinse this brush out because we're not going to use it again for the rest of the day. Unless we really want to. We could, but I don't want to. So I'm going to rinse that out really, really well. Do you hear that swirling noise? There we go. Swish all that water out of there. All right. So you want to make sure you really scrape it against the bottom of your water cup. That's how you get all the white paint and all the stuff out of the bristles there. Pat it dry again. And when I pat it dry, I'm always pulling my brush this way. Otherwise, if I pushed or if I squeezed, then my brushes would not stay nice and smooth. Then we're going to pick another red or a bright color. This time you want a really bright, bold color. Yellow is going to be too pale. You want something that's going to have some darkness to it, but still be bright, like a bold color. I guess that's what I should be saying. You want a bold color. So to me, whenever I think bold, I think red. If you don't want to do this with paint, or if you're not confident in your painting skills, I want you to try it just to practice. If it's too difficult, or if you want to practice on another surface, feel free to practice on another surface. If you don't like it, if you just do it and you're like, ugh, this is not my favorite, I do not like this at all, then you can paint the white back over it and do it with a marker. That is okay. But me, I'm feeling pretty confident today, but I want you to try it, even if you're not feeling confident. It's still fun to try stuff. If it doesn't go out right, who cares? We can always fix it, because what does acrylic paint do? Paints over just fine. So we're going to do it, and I'm going to write, I think you know what I'm going to write, because it's a cupcake and it's for a birthday. I'm going to write happy birthday. See how I'm just letting the very tip of the paintbrush touch. If I let the whole thing touch, what would happen? It would like make a big splop. I'm going to show you just so you guys can see. If I let the whole brush touch, it's too fat. There's no way I could make a happy birthday message out of that. No way. You could rinse your brush and do the birthday in another color if you want to. If you're not sure how to spell happy birthday, ask mom or dad or maybe a big brother or sister. Or you can even copy it off of mine. I've got Happy, and my birthday is B-I, oops, there we go, R-T-H-A-Y. And just for extra fun, exclamation points! Because they just make things a little bit more exciting, don't they? So we could be done here, or if you want to, you can add some sprinkles in your background. I like to add sprinkles, which are just lines that are angled in different directions. Keep them as skinny as you can, okay? Scatter them wherever. You can put some back here if you want to. Do some different colors with these guys. So I've got my blue sprinkles in here. I'm gonna do some of those pinks that I did my, my strawberry cupcake in. I'm gonna do some sprinkles in pink too. Fabulous. And then just for fun, because who's going to tell me no, I'm going to take some of that bold yellow. We don't have any bold yellow in here yet. We've got this, well, we got a little bit in there, but it's not very bold. I'm going to take some bold yellow just to brighten up my background here. It goes really well with the color. My background should be all dry by now, and it's just going to add a little extra oomph. And if you want to, you can put a little bit in your border too. You don't have to. I'm going to put some just in the corners, just like that. And there you go, folks. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It is beautiful. Good job. I love it. I hope you guys love it. If you have any questions, you can ask Mom or Dad to send me a message. But otherwise, I think this is a super fabulous birthday project. I hope it makes you feel very happy and very special on your day. And before I go, one last time, happy birthday! Woo! Thanks, guys. See you next time.